when Sanjay Gandhi visited Turkman Gate and तब बहुत सारा chaos हुआ था.
He got a very hostile reception from the people. He was very disappointed. He was very unhappy about the fact that he could not see
Jama Masjid.
Yeah, from Turkman Gate, he was not able to see Jama Masjid because of all the slum. So he took this decision that this area needs to be cleared. People were hearing comments made by the police to their people saying that, inko maro, jaise bhi ho maar dalo inko. And in very bad language, police went all out to just about, squash the protest in whatever way possible. That night, an army of bulldozers was sent to finish off the business. So they went about demolishing the house and in a very horrid manner picked up all the bodies along with the rubble.
Hello, you're watching the Indian Express Plus. I'm Abir Lahiri and with me is Adricha Roy Chaudhary. And today we'll be talking about Turkman Gate in Old Delhi. It's in the news. A lot of clashes are happening there. MCD ने recently एक encroachment को हटाने के लिए drive किया and after that a lot of things happened there जो news में हैं. We'll talk about that, but it also has a history. 5 decades before, a similar encroachment drive was conducted. What exactly happened after that? That's a big piece of information in news. But before that, let's decode the history of Turkman Gate and then come to this topic. बताइए, what exactly is the history of Turkman Gate?
Actually, Turkman Gate, the gateway by itself, it was built in the 17th century by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan.
Okay.
And we know this is the time when Shah Jahan was building a new capital city,
Shahjahanabad.
He moved his capital from Agra and built Shahjahanabad here. And while the fort was being created and a city was being built around it, we need to know, remember that यहाँ पे in Delhi there was a pre-existing city as well. And Turkman Gate की history is actually traced to the era before the Mughals. Not the gate by itself, but the name of the gate. Okay, because the road on which Turkman Gate stands in Old Delhi, this is the road that links Fatehpuri Masjid in Chandni Chowk till Turkman Gate. This used to be a very major road before the Mughals came in.
Okay.
Now, when Shahjahanabad was built, many of these pre-existing roads were incorporated within the new city is being built. Now, what happened was this area on which the Turkman Gate was built, this was a place jahan pe a Sufi saint by the name of Shah Turkman Bayabani.
Okay.
He used to live and his dargah is very close by.
Okay.
A lot of people may not know this.
Aaj
bhi hai. Okay, his dargah is very close by. And right next to his dargah is the grave of Razia Sultan.
Oh.
The great Sultanate, the only female Sultan of Delhi. Her grave is also very close by. So clearly this was an important Sufi saint. And we know that, Delhi back in the 13th century was like a center of Sufism. A lot of Sufis used to stay here. So he was one of those very, very much revered Sufi saint, jinka dargah is close by. So when the Mughals built this gate, they were building many gateways, of the new city. When they built this gate, they named it as Turkman Gate after this saint, jinka dargah bahut paas mein hai. So clearly this was a very important man because not only is Razia Sultan buried right next to him, but several centuries later in the 17th century when the Mughals are building their new capital,
he's given credit for
he's given his due and an entire gateway is named after
Turkman
him.
Darwaza.
Turkman Darwaza. So that is how Turkman Gate is established and built. It's right in the middle of the city now क्योंकि उसके walls वगैरह तो हट गए हैं. You might also be interested to know this that 1857 के revolt के बाद a large parts of Old Delhi were demolished. The British had gone about razing down many parts of Old Delhi because in order for a similar incident to not happen again, and so that the city can no longer shut itself out, and the British would have access
to the entire city.
So they did go about demolishing large parts of the city. Initially, the plan was to also demolish the wall, the entire wall of the city. This is what historian Swapna Little, whose book I have referred to, and I also spoke to her while writing this article. She had told me this, that the initial plan was to demolish the entire wall of Old Delhi, of Shahjahanabad. But then they realized that that is too much of a task.
Okay.
So they demolished little bits and parts of it. So even if you see the way Turkman Gate is today, the walls are they are no longer there. So initially the British had actually demolished bits and little bit of the wall.
Okay.
Then later, a few years later, in the 20th century, they demolished
major
portion of it. Extensively it was demolished because they wanted to expand the commercial area in this city.
This is the time when South Delhi was technically non-existent.
No. South Delhi is built much later.
But so not even the Central Delhi was in place.
Central Delhi
start hua
20th century mein, when 1911 New Delhi is starting to be built, and that is also the time when this is the 20th century when they also start expanding commercial areas in Old Delhi. So
but that was the main city back then.
That was the main city. Even till date, if you speak to people from Old Delhi, they call their Old Delhi Sheher, and everything else is outside the Sheher. Yeah. So for people of Old Delhi, that is still the city. The city. So yes, then that is when largely the wall is gotten rid of, but the gate still stands as it stands even today, right in the middle of a lot of hustle and bustle. It's standing as it is since the time Shah Jahan had built it.
Okay, then what exactly happened when we talk about, let's track the time 5 decades ago, when Sanjay Gandhi visited Turkman Gate, and tab bahut sara chaos hua tha, jo ki documented hai, it's well documented, and it is on the backdrop of emergency.
Yes.
So what exactly happened that time?
So Turkman Gate suddenly, gets a lot of political relevance during the 1970s actually. Basically, over the years, an entire neighbourhood develops over here. Largely, these are also poor people, a lot of them belonging to the Muslim community as well, who are established over here, who have built their little hutments, homes, etc. Now, in the 1970s, in the mid-1970s basically, there was, after the emergency is declared, there was a beautification drive that was announced by Sanjay Gandhi.
Okay.
It was announced by the government, but under his supervision it was being carried out. It was part of an urban renewal program.
Okay.
And as part of that program, the idea was to sort of clear out all slums and jhuggi jhopris from the city. So, by April 1976 is when the focus is on Turkman Gate and the Old Delhi area.
Okay.
And they had gone about clearing many parts of the city, and that in 76 April is when the focus was now on Old Delhi area. And there are documents that say that when Sanjay Gandhi visited this place sometime again in this early 76, he got a very hostile reception from the people. He was very disappointed.
But why so? Like, hypothetically, why?
Who knows? I mean, in any case, by then they did have a bad name about clearing slums, so people might have panicked on seeing him. But this is what some of the memoirs that I had gone through, they said that he received a hostile reception. Or what he felt was a hostile reception, and he was clearly very disappointed. There's also this little anecdote that says that he was very unhappy about the fact that he could not see
Jama Masjid.
From Turkman Gate he was not able to see Jama Masjid because of all the slums and the settlements on the way, and he was very unhappy about it. So he took this decision that this area needs to be cleared. So now what happened was that on 13th of April 1976, the first bulldozer arrives.
Okay.
All right. And when the initial demolitions happen, little hutments are removed, there's not really much of opposition from the people.
Okay.
It is soon after this, a family planning clinic also comes up very close by in this place called Dujana House.
Okay.
Dujana House is basically one of the princely houses in Old Delhi, but that had been pre-existing. But a new family planning clinic comes here.
Okay.
We must also remember that this beautification drive had followed a very aggressive family planning drive that had been going on. And there are horrid accounts that we keep reading about people getting picked up, forced sterilizations, all of that was happening. So when this family planning clinic comes up very close by, this is just next to Jama Masjid, which is like about 2 kilometers away from Turkman Gate, again people start panicking. And this family planning clinic, it's being managed by this woman called Rukhsana Sultana. She is a close aide of Sanjay Gandhi. She was a close aide of Sanjay Gandhi with a lot of connections to the party. She initially, she was sort of pressuring people to get sterilizations. With time, the pressure converted into outright force. So, again, the sort of the documentation that I have gone through, they say that, people were being picked up, beggars, and, off and on in these kind of programs, it's the poor and, those who are literally at on the streets and on the margins, they are the ones who are affected the most. So the beggars and street vendors, they were often getting picked up and forcefully sterilized. So already a sense of panic develops over here while these bulldozers start coming in. Okay. And even then, even though people are panicking, they first reach out to Rukhsana Sultana and to ask if she can help them, that, they did not want their house to be the next one to be demolished. And she then responds by saying that, okay, well, I can help you only if you allow me to open another clinic over here and give me a target, like give me at least 300 sterilization cases in a month.
Oh,
again, yeah, so that kind of, I mean, when I was reading through some of these documentations, they're quite scary. They're very, very, stark to think that this just happened like 5 decades back. And so the people were trying to also, communicate with the government, use their jugaad contacts, but nothing was happening. And by this time, sort of a more militant response was also developing. So, you had these workers from a nearby lace factory.
Okay.
They came together and said that, okay, if the government is not willing to listen to us, we should come out on the streets and protest. Okay. So when on April 19th, okay, so from 13th to 19th, they were trying to help, to figure out some way
maneuver things.
जब नहीं हुआ, तो 19th April को when the bulldozers advanced into the neighborhood, these protesters, they came out from their homes and started protesting, and they were out on the streets, and they were also pelting stones. Okay. And the police responded. They had police force who responded with lathi charge, tear gas, and there are accounts in which people have written, like I would read this account by Ashok Chakravarti, who is an economist, and he's written a book on his memories of the emergency, and he writes that there were people were hearing comments made by the police to their people saying that inko maro, jaise bhi ho maar dalo inko, and in very bad language which I wouldn't want to recollect over here. So that kind of confrontation was happening where the police went all out to just about squash the protest in whatever way possible. That night itself, more bulldozers were sent. An army of bulldozers was sent to finish off the business. So they went about demolishing the house, and again, whatever accounts we have say that they in a very horrid manner picked up all the bodies along with the rubble. That after demolition, whatever rubble was formed was strewn about. They picked up the bodies along with it, and many of them were injured bodies. I must give a disclaimer that these are accounts that I have read of this episode on, and mind you, this episode has been documented by almost every book that has written about the emergency, because the Turkman Gate demolition was a very big flashpoint, like literally, it reaches the emergency crisis. It sort of
Epitome of-
reaches an epitome over here. So these accounts say that like the bulldozers picked up the bodies along with the rubble. Many of these were injured, not even killed, and they threw them in this refuse site nearby. So there is this Ashok Chakravarti's book. There is a quote that says this. The screams of those who were injured or trapped in the rubble could not be heard over the roaring and clanking of the machines. There was no pity, no respite. It was very heart-wrenching reading some of these accounts. And then, the demolitions continued for the next few days. It's, sometime around 22nd April when it finally stopped, and by then they had obliterated almost all signs of life in this entire area. So that's what happened at Turkman Gate. So when the news of the MCD drive over here, of course it's in a very different context, very it has nothing to do with what was happening in the 1970s. Again, we must give this disclaimer, but since it's happening at Turkman Gate, it immediately brought back memories of this very horrid episode that happened in 1976.
If you are watching this and you have something to share on this, you are free to comment down below. We would love to hear your opinions. If you know somebody who may have shared a emotional connect around that time, who may have shared something with you, you can comment down below. We'll be happy to read your comments, and if you have any suggestion for us, feel free to comment down below. This was it on this episode of Past and Curious. This was Adrija Roy Chaudhary. I'm Abir Lahiri signing off. Thank you.